and welcome back to My Tech Wardrobe. My name is Caitlin and I do random fashion videos on the internet for fun. Today's video is all about looking expensive, looking a little luxurious, looking elegant, but on a very practical budget. Actually, I feel like I could feel a little bit more elegant right now, so hang on. Just hang on. It's a good thing I'm such a fancy lady and have such elegant teacups lying around. Must have cost me a fortune, right? Psych! Got these at an estate sale with my mom in high school for maybe like $2 a teacup. That's very hot. Okay. That not so elegant metaphor, simile? Analogy? Is basically the point of this video. It's how to look expensive, how to look luxury without A, spending that much money, or B, spending that much time. So one thing I've been noticing a lot lately, and really for the past few years online, is advice on how to look expensive or how to look luxury, but on a budget. And this is something that I've been trying to do with my style for over 10 years now, because unfortunately, I do not have an unlimited fund for fashion in my budget that I can use to just buy new clothes. So I have always tried to purchase timeless pieces, to purchase pieces that make me feel elegant, that I can take care of, and make me feel like $1,000,000. And look like $1,000,000 too. To me, looking expensive is not about how much money you spend on something, it's how you put your outfit together and how you take care of the garments within that outfit. So for me, looking expensive is really more like feeling expensive. You want to feel like $1,000,000 in what you're wearing, even though it may have cost you literally a tiny fraction of that. My first tip is fairly straightforward. It's simply to take better care of your clothes and keep them longer. I purchased a lot of fast fashion in high school and in my first few years of university, and I do think that while I'm a more conscious consumer now, I consume almost no fast fashion anymore, I still have a lot of those pieces that I purchased 10-12 years ago because I've kept very good care of them because I wanted them to last. When we think about how to look luxurious, it's sort of how you present yourself. So it's the difference between, for example, turning up with this extremely wrinkled blouse and giving it a quick steam or an iron and then letting the silhouette actually hit you where it's supposed to. It seems so straightforward to say steam or iron your clothes or sew up a little rip if you see one, but those little pieces really add up. So if you're wearing a wrinkled shirt and you've got a rip in your jeans where it's definitely not supposed to be, it kind of looks a little less put together and a little bit less elegant and classic. So I highly recommend, if you can, invest in either a really cheap iron or a really cheap steamer. Mine was just a T-fal. I think it was maybe 40 bucks online, but you can find some for as little as 30 online as well that work really well. I've also seen the bathroom trick where, you know, you get in the shower and you hang your clothes so that the natural steam of the room sort of steams them out, but I find that you kind of need to, especially with certain garments, you need to apply the steam in a specific way. The wrinkles won't get that individual attention, so try, if you can, or maybe borrow from a friend, an appliance that can help you really make your clothing look its best. There's nothing worse than just feeling uncomfortable in your clothing because you know you didn't really spend enough time on it. Next, when you're thinking about your wardrobe or your clothing as a whole, you want to think about the very specific items that you want to invest in and spend a tiny bit more money on. I did an entire video on investment pieces, so go ahead and take a look at that after this video, but it's really about only spending money in very strategic areas in your wardrobe. Because one slightly more expensive item makes the whole outfit look much more put together. So for example, here are a couple of items that I will typically spend a little bit more on or try to find a bargain on that are typically more expensive. First is coats. If you only have 1 or 2 coats in your wardrobe that bring outfits together and elevate them, that's great. So for example, this checkered patterned coat that has a lot of structure can add a lot of visual interest to an outfit, and I really love it. But the best part is, although it elevates an outfit, makes it look elegant and put together, I spent about 30 bucks on it at a vintage store. So I think it's finding those pieces that, again, elevate everything, make everything look a little bit more expensive, but you can still find a bargain on. Another area is trench coats. So having a beige trench coat in your wardrobe is generally a good staple piece to have. That said, if it doesn't suit your specific wardrobe, that's fine. You can find your version of a beige trench coat. Maybe it's a leather moto jacket, or maybe it's a killer tweed blazer. But finding that one piece that brings everything together and elevates it. The thing I like about the beige trench coat also is that you can find very, very good sales on beige trench coats because they never go out of style. So even if you happen to be shopping in a mall store, you may find it in a clearance rack at certain times of year, or if you're in a vintage store, you will almost always find one because they literally never go out of style. Accessories are also a really good way to pull a more luxury or elegant outfit together. And when I say accessories, I don't necessarily mean jewelry. It can certainly mean jewelry if you are a big jewelry fan and you really love it. But for me, that means something more like pants and belts. So I, a couple of years ago, invested in a slightly more expensive black leather belt that I knew will A, never go out of style, and B, always bring together an outfit when I need it to. And purses here are also a really great way to accessorize and complete an elegant luxury outfit. One piece of advice I would give related to purses is think about structured versus non-structured bags. And essentially what I mean by that is your purse a little bit more boxy? Does it stand up on its own versus ones that are a little bit more slouchy? Now, both can be in style at any point in time, but for me, I find the structured bags really tend to look a little bit more fancy, a little bit more expensive. I have a couple of options here. This one was $30, again at a vintage store. This one I got for free because my best friend no longer wanted it. And I think this is why it's really great to find alternative ways to find these more fancy or elegant pieces. Swap with your friends, go thrift shopping, see what's out there, and you might be able to find one heck of a deal. And when you look at this outfit with a structured bag versus a more slouchy bag, for me anyway, it just looks a little bit more put together, a little bit more elegant with a structured bag. But again, that's just personal preference, but I do find that they look just a little bit more luxurious. Next is to look to your own fashion icons. Do you have an icon of elegance or luxury that you really, really admire? For me, you can probably already tell that it's Audrey Hepburn. I have a whole video on that. Again, link in description. Take a look when you're done this video. I really apply the principles that Audrey did during her lifetime with regard to her wardrobe. So for me, that means elegant, clean lines, often monochrome outfits. I really like wearing all black because it does give me a very Audrey vibe. So for me, that's just something that I really enjoy. But for you, your style icon might be someone completely different. So is it a K-pop star? Is it Lizzo? Is it BTS? For me, actually, I really enjoy BTS style. So there's a chance that there are some very elegant and luxurious options for you to take inspiration from, and then create outfits that feel more like you, but still feel elevated. There's nothing wrong with admiring someone's style and looking to emulate it. I think that's the best way to encourage yourself to be a little bit more creative with your style. Start with someone you really admire who's really fancy, and then make that your own over time. It's a great way to get started and to make yourself feel more expensive, more luxury. Next is to ensure that you wear clothes that fit you well. I am not talking about tailoring. A lot of these luxury or look expensive videos always talk about tailoring. And you know what? I also have a whole video on this because I don't have time or the disposable income to take all of my clothes to a tailor to get them custom fitted to me. I just don't. But that's okay. But to look expensive and to look more luxurious, obviously we want our clothes to fit us properly, or to style them so they look like they fit us properly. Here's an example of what this looks like in practice. So this shirt is great, these pants are great, but they don't really go together. The shirt's a little bit too long. The pants make my legs look a little bit too short because I'm very petite. Clothes tend to overwhelm me. Without getting these tailored, however, what I can do is style them better. So what I do is a quick tuck in the front to highlight the high-waisted nature of the jeans, make that shirt look a little bit more fitted, and then add a jacket to enhance that silhouette and make everything look a little bit more put together. And again, when you add a structured bag, you kind of look like you may have stepped off a first-class flight somewhere and you're jetting off somewhere else. The one thing I want you to take away from this is that you don't have to spend extra money to look like you cost more money. Does that make sense? I mean, what's the point of finding a deal when you're gonna make up that money in tailoring anyway? Just style it better. Check out my video. I promise you, you will feel a lot better afterwards. And then last is to think about when you are looking for a new piece, try to either thrift, go vintage shopping, or find a deal on that new piece. A few years ago, I really decided to be a more conscious consumer, purchase less, but also purchase almost no fast fashion whatsoever. Now, I know that is not a possibility for a lot of people. Fast fashion is more accessible simply because it's less expensive. So if you're not in a position to be able to get rid of fast fashion altogether, don't feel bad about it. Try your best to maybe on that next purchase, maybe you're looking for a new button-up shirt, or maybe you're looking for a new pair of jeans. Maybe that's the piece that you go thrifting for, or you find secondhand. And try to slowly build up those items in your wardrobe over time. Because thrifted and secondhand pieces don't mean your outfits need to look inexpensive, whatever that means. It really just means that you're doing a little bit more for the planet, you're being a more conscious consumer, and you can find a little bit more unique pieces as well if you go that route. A few years ago, I was looking for a new white blouse. You know, that kind of wear with everything type of blouse. You can wear it with dress pants or skirts or jeans, what have you. So I decided to find a vintage version, and I was able to find this vintage sort of scoop, almost scoop neck wrap style silk blouse from a vintage store for $25. So instead of putting that $25 or maybe $30 or $40 into somewhere like, I don't know, The Gap, I could support a small local business, a vintage business, and a more ethical and better for the planet alternative. These pieces, if styled effectively, still look really expensive and really luxy and really cool. So it's all about just finding ways to incorporate less expensive pieces into your wardrobe, but styling them well and feeling really expensive. And when you look for pieces at any store as well, you can also think about like what looks expensive to you? What looks fancy to you? Trust your own gut and trust your own eye, because even though you're at a store that may have more inexpensive options, things can look a little fancier. And if they do, if you've seen them from afar and you think, ooh, that's fancy, I won't be able to afford that, If you find those pieces for an inexpensive price, always purchase them when you can, if they fit your wardrobe and they're what you're looking for. So this, for example, is a denim dress that I got about probably 7 years ago from a mall store here in Canada, and I thought it was very, very fancy when I first saw it because it was sort of similar to those types of dresses from the 70s that were very dark wash denim, and the buttons were sort of a polished brass, and they just looked more expensive to me from afar. And it turned out to be about 40 bucks. So it was a great deal. Admittedly, it was fast fashion at the time, but I have taken care of it over the last 7 years to ensure that I can keep wearing it for another 7, 10 years at least. Because I think what's really great about this is that it's also pretty timeless. So I chose this specifically for that purpose. So when you're out shopping, just make sure that you are really looking for those classic, timeless pieces, the ones that make you feel really great and that you know you will be able to get multiple years of use out of. I hope this helped. Again, it's just really important for you to think less about, do I look super expensive, and more, do I feel super expensive, regardless of how much your outfit cost in total. Because what's most important is that you feel confident and you feel luxurious in the pieces that you choose. I want you to feel really comfortable and really confident in your clothes. And if they're inexpensive clothes and they make you feel like $1,000,000, then that's even better. Because I always feel like $1,000,000 in the items that I choose, because I know I've curated them very effectively, and I know they're exactly what I want and the vibe I want to give off to the world. Thank you so much for watching. If you liked it, go ahead and click subscribe and hit that little bell notification so you know when my videos go live. Hint, it's every Friday. And if you didn't like it, go ahead and subscribe anyway, because it might be different next time.